point is, would you say to yourself, do I need this money in a year? Do I need this money in 2 years? Do I need this money in 3 years? So my longer term, stock market's been the best place to be last 10 years, last 30 years, last 130 years. But if you need the money in 1 or 2 years, you shouldn't be buying stocks. Stock market, the most important organ is the stomach. It's not the brain. There's always, on the way to work, the amount of bad news you can hear is almost infinite now. So the question is, can you take that? I mean, do you really have faith that 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, common stocks are a place to be? If you believe in that, you should have some money in equity funds. I mean, it's a question, what's your tolerance for pain? I mean, the stock market's a very good place to be, but I can toss a coin now. Is it going to be lower 2 years from now? Higher? I don't know. More people lost money waiting for corrections and anticipating corrections than the actual corrections. Well, you ought to look in the mirror every day and say, what am I going to do if the market goes down 10%? What do you do if it goes down 20? Am I going to sell? Am I going to get out? If that's your answer, you should be reducing it today. Well, hey, this perfect record. I think the 13 years I ran Magellan, the market went down 9 times, 10% or more. I had a perfect record. I went down more than the market. Every time I went down more. So I just didn't worry about it. The point is, would you say to yourself, do I need this money in a year? Do I need this money in 2 years? Do I need this money in 3 years? A lot of countries are doing a lot better. So I think there's potential there. That's not my expertise, but I think emerging markets could be a place to research. I never looked at the economy. I want to find out, the only thing I would look at what's happening right now. What's going to happen a year from now? What's going to happen to interest rates? I'd love to get next year's Wall Street Journal. I'd pay an extra $1 for it. That'd be very helpful. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I want to find right now. Well, I think anybody that's investing in the stock market has to understand, you buy a company. These are not lottery tickets. These behind every stock, there's a company. If the company does well, over time, the stocks do well, and vice versa. You have to look at the company. That's what you're researching. That's what we do at Fidelity. That's what I do. Well, the data now is so good. I remember when we owned Nike, we had to wait for the mail to come to our library. Now, when somebody reports earnings, it's telecast all over the world. They have an investor presentation, they show a balance sheet, so information is much better. So theoretically, the individual's edge is improved in the last 20, 30 years versus the professional. The data is there, it's free. But I think a lot of people, their problem is they have so many prejudices, they have so many biases, they won't look at a railroad, they won't look at an oil company, they won't look at a steel company. They're only going to look at companies growing 40% a year. They won't look at turnaround. So one thing, you just don't have so many prejudices and biases. I bought companies with unions. You have to really be agnostic. A lot of people, they're just not flexible. I think flexibility is, and that's why Fidelity's had so many great fund managers. They're very flexible what they'll look at.
One of the things I find a rule, a couple of rules I want to throw out that I find useful, excuse me, is a lot of times people buy on the basis the stock has gone down this much. How much further can it go down? I remember when Polaroid went from 130 to 100, people said, here's this great company, great record. If it ever gets below 100, just buy every share, and it did get below 100. A lot of people bought on that basis saying, look, it's gone from 135 to 100. It's now 95, what a buy. Within a year, it was 18. And this is a company with no debt. I mean, this is a company, it was just so overpriced, it went down. I did the same thing in my, I think my first or second year at Fidelity. Kaiser Industries had gone from $26 a share to 16. I said, how much lower can it go? It's 16. So I think we bought one of the biggest blocks ever on the American Stock Exchange of Kaiser Industries at 14. I said, it's gone from 26 to 16. How much lower can it go? Well, at 10, I called my mother and said, Mom, you got to look at this Kaiser Industries. I mean, how much lower can it go? It's gone from 26 to 10. Well, it went to 6, it went to 5, it went to 4, it went to 3. And now I am fortunate this happened rapidly, or I would probably be still caddying or be working at the Stop and Shop, but it happened fast, so I was able to, it was compressed. And at 3, I figured out, there's something very wrong here, because Kaiser Industries owns 40% of Kaiser Steel, they own 40% of Kaiser Aluminum, they own 32% of Kaiser Cement, they own Kaiser Broadcasting, they own Kaiser Sand and Gravel, Kaiser Engineers, they own Jeep, they own business after business, and they had no debt. Now, I learned this very early. This might be a breakthrough for some people. It's very hard to go bankrupt if you don't have any debt. It's tricky. Some people can approach that. It's a real achievement. But they had no debt, and the whole company at 3 was selling at about $75 million. At that point, it was equal to buying one Boeing 747. I said, there's something wrong with this company selling for $75 million. I was a little premature at 16, but I said, everything's fine, and eventually this will work out. And what they did is they gave away all their shares to their shareholders. They passed out shares in Kaiser Cement, they passed out shares in Kaiser Aluminum, they passed out their public shares in Kaiser Steel, they sold all the other businesses, and you get about $50 a share. But if you didn't understand the company, if you're just buying on the fact the stock had gone from 26 to 16, and then it went to 10, what would you do when it went to 9? What would you do when it went to 8? What would you do when it went to 7? This is the problem that people have, is they sell stocks because they didn't know why they bought it, then it went down, and they don't know what to do now. Do you flip a coin? Do you walk around the block? You know, what do you do? I've tried prayer. That hasn't worked. So if you don't understand the company, you have this problem when they go down. Eventually, they always come back. This one doesn't work either. People think RCA just about got back to its 1929 high when General Electric took it over. A lot of double knits never came back. Remember those beauties? Floppy disks, Western Union. The list goes on and on. People saying it'll come back. Well, it doesn't have to come back. Here's another one you hear all the time. It's $3. How much can I lose? I've had people call me up saying, I'm thinking of buying this stock at 3. How much can I lose? Well, again, you may need a piece of paper for this, but if you put if you put $20,000 in a stock at 50, or your neighbor put $20,000 that fool at 50 into the stock, and you put $20,000 in at 3, and it goes to 0, you lose exactly the same amount of money, everything. And people say it's 3. How much can I lose? Well, if you put $1 million on it, you can lose $1 million. Just the fact that stock, this may be a reason to research a stock. The fact that stock is 3 down from 100 doesn't mean you should buy it. And in fact, short sellers, people that really make money in stocks, they don't short Walmart, they don't short Home Depot, they don't short the great companies, Johnson & Johnson. They short stocks down from 80 to 7. They'd like to short it at 16 or 22, but they figured out at 7 that this company is going to go to 0. Yeah, it's going to 0. And they're selling it short at 7, they're selling it short at 6, at 5, at 4, at 3, at 2, at 1 1/4. And you know what, to sell something short, you need a buyer. Somebody has to buy the damn thing. And you wonder, who's buying this thing? It's these people saying it's 3, how much lower can it go? You know.
La gente no tiene paciencia para enriquecerse lentamente, por eso decide arruinarse rápidamente. La mejor empresa para comprar puede ser alguna que ya tiene en cartera. No sé si los próximos 1000 puntos del Dow Jones serán hacia arriba o hacia abajo, pero estoy seguro de que los próximos 10.000 puntos serán hacia arriba. La bolsa no es como el golf. En la bolsa los inversores amateurs pueden batir a los profesionales. No siga mis pasos porque aun en el caso de que acierte al comprar, usted no sabrá cuándo vendo. Las compañías que no tienen deuda no pueden quebrar. El destino de un inversor lo marca su estómago, no su cerebro. Se ha perdido más dinero preparándose para las correcciones o tratando de anticipar las correcciones que el dinero perdido en las correcciones mismas. La clave para ganar dinero con las acciones es no tenerles miedo. Excepto en casos de grandes sorpresas, las acciones son bastante predecibles en periodos de 20 años. En cuanto a si van a subir o bajar en los próximos 2 o 3 años, es lo mismo que arrojar una moneda al aire. Se puede perder dinero a corto plazo, pero necesitas del largo plazo para ganar dinero. El truco no está en aprender a confiar en sus sentimientos más viscerales, sino en disciplinarse para saber ignorarlos. Mantenga las acciones mientras que los fundamentales de la compañía no hayan cambiado. Nunca invierta en una idea que no pueda ilustrar con un lápiz. Que le guste un producto o una tienda no es una razón suficiente para invertir en sus acciones. Nunca invierta en una empresa sin entender sus finanzas. Las mayores pérdidas en bolsa provienen de las compañías con pobres balances. Desconfíe de las compañías con tasas de crecimiento de entre el 50 y el 100% anual. Entienda la naturaleza de las compañías que tienen cartera y las razones específicas para mantener la acción. En algún momento dentro de un mes, de un año o de 3 años, el mercado sufrirá una fuerte caída. Las caídas del mercado son una gran oportunidad para comprar acciones de compañías que le gusten. Las correcciones sitúan a las compañías más excepcionales a precios de saldo. Para que le vaya bien no es necesario que acierte todo el tiempo, ni siquiera la mayoría de las veces. Que los precios suban no significa que usted tenga razón. Que los precios bajen no significa que usted esté equivocado. Si no cree que puede ganarle al mercado, invierta en un fondo y ahórrese un montón de dinero y trabajo extra. Siempre hay algo por lo que preocuparse. No hace falta besar a todas las chicas. Yo he perdido un buen número de 10 baggers y no por eso he dejado de superar la rentabilidad del mercado. Desconfíe de la diversificación, que generalmente suele ser mala diversificación. Invertir es un arte, no una ciencia. Las personas que tienden a cuantificar todo rígidamente están en desventaja. Si dedico más de 13 minutos a discutir pronósticos económicos y de mercado, desperdicio 10 minutos. Si la directiva está comprando acciones de su propia compañía, usted debería hacer lo mismo. Invierta en acciones antes que en cualquier otro activo. No se puede ver el futuro usando el espejo retrovisor. En el largo plazo, la correlación entre el éxito real de una empresa y su éxito en bolsa es del 100%. Es importante aprender que existe una empresa detrás de cada acción, y solo hay una razón real por la cual las acciones suben. Las compañías pasan de una mala performance a una buena, o las pequeñas crecen para convertirse en grandes. Si no analiza las empresas, tiene las mismas posibilidades de éxito que un jugador de póker apostando sin mirar las cartas. Vender sus acciones ganadoras y aguantar sus perdedoras es como cortar las flores y regar las malas hierbas. Solo porque una acción haya caído mucho no quiere decir que no pueda caer aún más. Venda una acción porque los fundamentales se hayan deteriorado, no porque el cielo se esté cayendo. Si no encuentra ninguna compañía atractiva donde invertir, guárdese el dinero en el banco hasta que la descubra. La gente que tiene éxito en bolsa también acepta pérdidas periódicamente, algún revés y acontecimientos inesperados. Invierta en compañías sencillas, que aparenten ser simples, mundanas, en desgracia y que no han conquistado la calle. Si le gusta la tienda, probablemente le va a gustar la acción.